the Turkish national team is facing a massive decision. And believe me, this isn't just about who's going to be their next point guard. This choice is going to shape the next decade for one of Europe's biggest basketball nations.
To really get the size of the hole that Turkey needs to fill, you have to understand who Shane Larkin was to this team. I mean, he wasn't just some naturalized player they brought in. He became the absolute heart and soul of the program. This quote says it all, right? He had a real, deep connection. He wasn't just a hired gun, he was their leader.
And that connection, it led them to this incredible moment of triumph, a historic silver medal, the best they've done in over 20 years. But then, right at the peak of that celebration, the bombshell dropped. Larkin announces he's retiring from the national team. Just like that, a moment of pure glory turns into one of massive uncertainty.
Which, of course, brings us to the central question here. How in the world do you replace an icon? Because this isn't about plugging in a new player on a spreadsheet. We're talking about replacing a leader, a guy who wanted the ball in the biggest moments, and really, the face of an entire era of Turkish basketball.
Okay, so let's get into it, because the answer to that question is way more complicated than it looks. Why? Because of one huge factor. The team has already changed, fundamentally. The Houston Rockets' Alperen Şengün has gone from being a promising young guy to a legit generational world-class talent. And because of him, the team's entire philosophy, it's been completely flipped on its head. I mean, this is a night and day difference. In the Larkin era, it was simple. Everything, and I mean everything, ran through the point guard. He had the ball in his hands, he was making the decisions. But now, the entire offense is run by their center. Şengün is the main hub, he's the primary playmaker. The whole geometry of the court is different now. So, what are the options on the table? Well, the first path is to look inside your own borders. This is the homegrown route. You trust the talent you already have in Turkey to step up and fill a totally new and different kind of role.
And because of that Şengün paradigm shift we just talked about, the job description for a point guard has completely changed. You see, they don't need a high-usage, ball-dominant star anymore. What they really need is a co-pilot. They need someone who can play without the ball, someone who can consistently knock down the open shots that Şengün is going to create for them, and just make the smart, simple play to keep the whole offense humming along.
But when you look at the top domestic guys, you start to see the problem. On paper, Kenan Sipahi seems like a perfect fit. He's a pass-first facilitator. Dogish Ozdemiroğlu is an absolute monster on defense. But they and the other options here, they're all specialists in a way. The tough truth is there's no obvious, well-rounded successor just waiting to take the job.
And here's the kicker. This lack of a perfect homegrown candidate, it's not an accident. As this quote gets at, it's actually the direct result of a decade-long strategy. By constantly relying on naturalized American guards to be the lead creator, the Federation basically created a cycle of dependency. It meant fewer chances for Turkish guards to develop those elite, top-tier skills. And now, the bill for that strategy is coming due. So, that lack of a clear domestic answer naturally leads to the second, and much more controversial, path. Do you go back to the same well? Does the Federation just continue the strategy of finding an elite foreign-born player and, well, making him Turkish?
To really get this whole debate, you have to understand this word, devshirme. It's a historical term from the Ottoman Empire that's now used in sports to talk about these naturalized athletes. It carries a ton of cultural weight, and it's right at the center of this whole argument about national identity versus the very pragmatic need to win games.
Now, this whole strategy is only possible because of one simple FIBA rule. Every country gets to have one naturalized player on their national team, just one. And for Turkey, that incredibly valuable spot has almost always been used on a point guard. And if they go this route, here are the two main guys everyone's talking about, and they both play in Turkey already. First, you've got Wade Baldwin IV. The guy is an athletic freak, A-level grades in clutch scoring and defense. But just look at that last column, a high potential for chemistry risk. Then there's Scottie Wilbekin, a proven scorer who's actually done this job for Turkey before, but he comes with a more moderate risk profile.
So the choice here really boils down to this. Do you take the high-risk, high-reward gamble on Wade Baldwin, a transcendent talent who has literally been described as anarchic on the court? Or do you go with the safer bet in Scottie Wilbekin, a veteran who has a pretty complicated and very public, messy history with the Federation? Neither one is a perfect solution.
And that's what brings us to the most important point. This isn't just about personnel. It's not just about X's and O's. This is a choice about what kind of team, what kind of program Turkey wants to be for the next generation. It is, flat out, a choice of identity.
You can almost see it as a fork in the road. Path 1 is the organic build. You go all in on a Şengün-centric system. You commit to developing your own homegrown talent, and you accept that, yeah, there might be some growing pains along the way. Path 2 is the naturalized bridge. You make the win now move. You bring in an elite talent to maximize your shot at a medal right now, but you also continue that cycle of dependency.
So in the end, it all comes down to this one question. What is the true soul of the 12 giant men, as they're called? Is it about building a sustainable program with a clear national identity centered around its own homegrown generational star? Or is it simply about winning, right now, no matter the cost? The choice they make is going to tell us everything.